Okay, this is the second video in the series on building a divergence logic template within Bloodhound. So in this video I'm actually going to show you how to build the solvers that you need to find divergence. Now in the last video I kind of stumbled around on why we wanted to use 4 swings instead of 3 on price action, and this is kind of an example. I just looked at the chart and this was right here. So when it's set to 4, this is the area I'm looking at. Okay, there isn't divergence here, but let's say there was. Okay, I want the price action to be looking at this pivot. That doesn't really make sense, does it? You know what, let me show you this first. This is all going to make sense in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to add Bloodhound to the chart. Now I'm going to open up the template. Let's name this. I've already done one here. Divergence series. Okay. So we go to the logic tab, we click on new, and we are going to need a comparison solver because we're going to compare price to this widest top plot. Okay, so we need a comparison solver. So right click anywhere on the green and select indicator comparison. Okay, this is the good part. This is the part that you want to see, rather than me explaining an indicator for an hour. So rather than closing price, because let's say you wanted to use this for tick charts or range bars, whatever, we're going to use an indicator that comes with Bloodhound. It also comes with Bloodhound, just like the SI swings. It's called the SI Chameleon, and you can access any plot of the bar. You can access the high, the low. Let me see if I can. I guess I can't. Okay. Yeah, you can access any of these highs, lows, the midpoint, the open, the close, the typical price, high, low, close divided by 3, the weighted SMA, the median, which is just the high and the low divided by 2. So for shorts, because we want to give a short signal up here, we want to look at the high for a short, and let's say we wanted to give a long signal when the low is below the previous low. So we want longs for lows. Okay, I'm going to come back and explain this. This might be a little difficult to grasp. Let me go ahead and connect it. So right now it's looking at the high and the low compared to the SMA 14, but we want to look at the SI swings. We want the widest top for shorts, because when price is above the widest top, we want to give a short. So when it makes a higher high, we want to give a short signal. When it's below the widest bottom, we want to give a long. Okay, so I'm going to set this to 4 now. Isn't that what we've used? 414? Yeah. Okay, so you can see when price, okay, this is not the right output. You see why? Because it's giving us the exact opposite of what we want. It's giving us longs when we want shorts. So you can either invert it. Now it's giving us a short signal whenever price is above the widest top plot, this green plot. Play this up a little bit. Okay, or rather than inverting it, we can change the logic down here. So we want A to be less than B for longs. Let's worry about the shorts first, because that's what we're looking at right here. So whenever price is above, whenever the high is above this green line, which is the widest top, we want to give a short signal whenever the high price is above the widest top. So widest top, we want to short. Okay, and whenever the high is above it, okay, high for short. So whenever that high, indicator A, is above the widest top, indicator B, we want to give a short. Okay, short output is down here. So whenever A is greater than B, we want a short. Okay, and also when it's equal to, we want a short. Okay. So now for longs, right here in this area, we want a long signal because the low price is below the widest bottom. So when A is below the widest bottom plot, so when A is less than B, we want to give a long. Okay? So I think that's pretty straightforward. If this is your first time messing with Bloodhound, then you really need to watch the videos on the comparison solver. This comparison solver, you'd be amazed with what you can do with it. Just about anything you can think of. So very, very cool. So we are going to call this the high, low, above, below, the widest top, the widest bottom. So now, to justify all that ridiculousness I was going through in that first video, when I set this, hopefully this will explain what I was trying to show, because there aren't a lot of examples for it, so it kind of looked like I didn't know what I was talking about, but there are, every now and then when you get like a 1 bar or a 2 bar little pivot in between the two highs you want to look at, let's say there was divergence between these two highs, let's say MACD really was, you know, making a lower high and price is making a higher high. When I have this set to 3, you'll see what happens here. So rather than looking at this pivot, it's now looking at this pivot. Okay? Now, price happens to be above that, so we would still get a short signal, but it's not looking at the correct pivot, and there are cases, few though they may be, but there are some cases where this will give you a false signal, and to eliminate that, we just set this to 4, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay? I'm not going to change that within Bloodhound, I'm just going to keep it at 4. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to qualify what I was trying to say. So now we need to analyze the MACD. We want, let's find a good example of divergence here. I guess this will work, won't it? No, it won't either. Because it's actually making, I wonder if I were to change that to 3. Yeah, it works in that case, doesn't it? But then, I'll tell you what, I'll build it for this, and then I'll build it another way as well. So we'll build it for this pivot, just as an example. So we want to show a long signal on this bar. Okay. That is bullish divergence between price and MACDs. MACD has made a higher low, clearly, as you can see the slope of this line is up. Price has made a lower low. As you can see, the slope of this line is down. Okay, and we know price has made a lower low because we have a long signal here, because price is actually trading through the widest bottom plot. So let's open this up. We need another comparison solver. This time we are going to be looking at the SI swings on the MACD, but we're going to be looking at the specific plot. We're going to look at the tightest bottom and the tightest top. So whenever this tightest bottom of the current bar is higher than the previous bar, then we know that MACD has made a higher low. So let's do this. So we want the SI swings of the MACD. So we want SI swings, 313. We want the tightest bottoms for longs, tightest tops for shorts. But now we have to nest the MACD BB lines into it, because we want the SI swings of the MACD BB lines, right? So we need to nest the MACD BB lines into this. And there we go. So that's got that. Now we want to do the same thing here. So SI swings, highs, lows, 313, tightest bottoms for longs, tops for shorts. Oh, sorry. And then we need to nest the BB lines into this. So in order to do that, you just click on the nest input. Okay, and then now we have the SI swings, highs, lows of the MACD BB lines of 1 bar ago. We have to displace it 1 because we want to measure, if I can, let me just connect this. If I can show you here, whenever this is the tightest bottom, so we're looking at the current bar. Let's say this was the current bar. Okay, whenever you can see here, the tightest bottom is is connected with the widest bottom at this point. Okay, whenever it jumps up 1, so it'll now be greater than the previous bar. So when it jumps up 1, it's going to give me a long signal. You see that? Because now on the current bar, the bar that you see there, the first green MACD dot, on that current bar, the tightest bottom is greater than the tightest bottom of 1 bar ago, because I have displaced it. So I'm looking at tightest bottom of 1 bar ago compared to the tightest bottom, the tightest bottom of the current bar for indicator A compared to the tightest bottom of 1 bar ago, indicator B. So for a long, I want indicator A, which is the current bar, to be greater than B, which is the bar 1, which is the plot 1 bar ago. Okay, and then vice versa for shorts. See that? So when that tightest top came down from being equal with the previous pivot, it gave us a short signal. So now all I have to do is combine these two. And I've got divergence. Well, actually, no, that's not quite true. Let's find that one example. Right here. So, let's reconnect this one. So you can see the low is below all of these lows are below this previous widest bottom, right? I don't know why I keep saying right and okay. I mean, obviously nobody's going to respond to me. Clearly I'm not used to making videos, so hopefully you'll give me a break. But what's going to happen is we're going to get some instances where we're not going to get this signal until a couple of bars later. Like for instance right here, this is a good example. So we don't actually get that signal until the second bar. And on this one, we don't actually get the signal until the third bar, because that's when the SI swings is actually picking it up. So the problem with that is, by the time we get to this second or third bar, we have a new widest top or widest bottom plot. Okay, so hopefully you can understand why that's a problem, because now look, let's say I want to have that short signal. I want that short signal. I want to be able to find that. I want to be able to use that. So watch what happens when I connect this. Whoa. Okay, well, yeah, it's because I have okay, that's right. Yep. The way this is set up, it's only going to find divergence at the extremes. So when you're in between larger swings and you have a little divergence like this, it's not going to count that, because that's not really what you're looking for. You're looking for a slowdown in momentum of the previous trend. Okay, like this. This is what you're looking for, because this caused a change in trend. Started going back up. Right? So, yeah. Let me see if I can find another spot. That's actually divergence right there, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But it happens to be on the first bar. But I really need to find a good example so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about here. Usually at the extremes, the move and the MACDs, when it's really oversold, that first dot that goes back up is so steep that it's going to call that a pivot. You can see right here, you're below the zero line. The move up towards the zero line when you're way oversold is very steep, but when you're below the zero line and you're coming back down, it's not very steep. So it doesn't actually catch that it's made a pivot there in the MACD until, say, the third, in some cases maybe even the fourth bar. So when you're finding divergence in your way, like let's say you're finding divergence, bullish divergence, sorry. So you want to give a long signal, like right here. When you're way oversold, then it's going to catch it. You're going to get the signal on the first bar back up. Okay? So really, I'm not going to be able to find a good example, because any good example of divergence will not have that case. So, but just to explain what I'm trying to do here, I want to extend the signal forward, this signal, because let's say if I were using closing price, now let's do this. This will make sense now. If I were using closing price rather than the high or the low, then this bar would not be green. And let me qualify that. So I'm going to switch this to closing price. You see what happened? Because the closing price is above the previous widest bottom, right? So that's why using the highs and the lows is essential. I guess it's already, yep, okay. But let's say I was using the closing price. I would want to extend this signal forward, so you can use this signal extender here. I'm going to turn off the reset, because we don't need any reset. So I'm going to use this signal extender, and I'm going to extend the signal 3 bars. So you can see, rather than being on just that 1 bar, it's now on 3 bars. So it extended it 2 forward. Okay. So now, if I will connect these two together with an AND node, we want AND because we want both of them to be true at the same time. Not one or the other, but both. Then I now have divergence. So apparently there was just slight divergence between this guy, uh-oh, that's not the one I wanted, between this guy and this pivot. So ever so slight. I mean, let's take a look. Yeah, I mean, you can see how tiny that is. But there is a slightly divergence there, as you can see. And then clearly there is on this one. Right? So that's got it. Now it did pick this one up because I extended it forward. Let's see, 1, 2, yeah. So that is regular divergence, but it's not from an extreme overbought condition. I wasn't going to get into all this, but let's say you wanted to add an overbought condition. You wanted it to only show divergence when you were extremely oversold or overbought. You know what? I'm not going to do that in this video. That's enough for this video. I just wanted to show you how you can actually build divergence. And I'll send you this template by itself. And then you can add these solvers to any template that you're currently working on. So the problem here now is this. And this is the issue that we get. Price happens to be trading above the previous widest top right here. So that's an issue, isn't it? Let's see how we can eliminate this. Because what it's doing here, price is being measured against this line. Price is above it. MACD made a lower high. Because it really did make a lower high, because this was the previous pivot, and now this is the second pivot. So this is a lower high in MACD. But price is being measured in tandem with this lower high as being above the previous high in price. Because it's counting this little tiny pivot as a swing high, as the highest high of these past 4 swings. So how would we eliminate that? I'm going to set this to 6. I'm glad this came up. So now we don't have that. So we need to change this to 6. So rather than a swing sensitivity of 4, we want a swing sensitivity of 6 in price. And that will eliminate our false signals. So now it's picking up this divergence, which it actually is real divergence, regular bullish divergence. I say real. I substitute real for regular. I don't know why I do that, but so this is actual regular bullish divergence. Now this is bearish divergence, right? But it's, you know, it's not one that you want to pick up because it's between these two larger swings, and you've just made a giant bullish divergence, and it's not going to measure this as the highest high of those swings. So that's good. You don't want to find these little cases of divergence that are basically meaningless. Okay, this is the one where we were going to build another instance of the SI swings, highs, lows on the MACDs and on price to find divergence when there was a pivot swing in between the two major highs, or the two major pivots, highs or lows. So I'll do that in the next video. Which, you know, when you do this, you're going to get some false signals. It's inevitable. But I'll show you how to do it anyhow if it's something that you might be interested in. So this is regular bullish divergence. That's good. This one's good. as you can see, MACD made a higher low here, just barely, but it did. And price made a lower low. And then likewise, price made a lower low here, and then MACD's made a slightly higher low. So not by very much. You could have a minimum distance for the tightest bottom to the widest bottom using the ATR's average true range, but I'm not going to get into all that. It'll make this more complex. If that's something you would want to look into, then you can notify me by email. Let's have a look here. Yeah, this is not a good one. It happens to seem to be, but it's only 4 bars. You could also add in a filter that would, give you a minimum number of bars between the two tops. So we can have a pivot high and then count the signals to the next pivot, or use the bar direction, minimum number of bars. There's a couple of different ways. I'm pretty sure we could do that. I would have to sit and really think about it, but we could definitely filter that out by the number of bars. Like, let's say you wanted at least 11 bars for your divergence. Now, I'm wondering why this is not allowing. I think if I change this to add neutral, so it will make it to where it'll be equal to, yeah. Okay, so now I added a 1 output for the neutral as well. So this is basically going to say when the low is equal to, well, it's going to be whatever this number is, the small amount. I'm not going to get into that here, but it's equal to, within 0 ticks of this widest bottom. So, because that is divergence too, because it's a double bottom, but yeah, we have a higher bottom, higher low in the MACDs. So that's got it. I mean, that's divergence as simple as you can make it right there. So I'll send this to all of you. Yeah, and then I'm going to make another video showing you how to take it a little bit more complex, add one more instance to where you can have a swing high and low in between the 2 major pivots, which is not something I would use personally because it gives a couple of false signals here and there, but I'll show you that next.